In the winter of 1900, beneath the endless grey skies of the North Atlantic, 3 lighthouse keepers stationed on a desolate Scottish island vanished without leaving behind a single trace. Their disappearance became one of the most unsettling maritime mysteries in British history. Events so strange, so impossibly than more than a century later, historians, sailors, and paranormal investigators continue to debate what truly happened on that lonely scrap of land known as Eilean Mòr. Everything you're about to hear is based on real historical accounts, official documents, witness testimonies, and the eerie fragments the men left behind. Settle in, dim the lights, and prepare to journey into the windswept isolation of the North Atlantic, where something, in December of 1900, shadowed the lives of 3 men and took them. Let's begin. Eilean Mòr is not the kind of place where humans are meant to live. The island sits far off the western coast of Scotland, a barren, jagged giant of stone rising from violent seas. For centuries, sailors feared it. The waters surrounding the Flannan Isles were known for swallowing ships whole, smashing hulls against rocky cliffs, and generating unpredictable storms that seemed to materialize from thin air. By 1899, the newly constructed lighthouse was meant to make the waters safer. But for the keepers assigned to it, Eilean Mòr represented something else entirely. Isolation, confinement, and a constant reminder that nature not man ruled here. The 3 men stationed at the lighthouse in December of 1900 were Thomas Marshall, 28, the second assistant, resourceful, disciplined, and deeply superstitious; James Ducat, 43, the principal keeper, stern but fair, a man respected in the service for his stability; Donald MacArthur, 40, the occasional keeper, filling in for a sick colleague, known for his fiery temper, strength, and deep belief in omens. They were experienced, capable men. They were not easily shaken. Yet something about Eilean Mòr in that final winter unsettled all of them. The island's warning signs weeks before their disappearance. Thomas Marshall had recorded strange entries in the logbook. He wrote about relentless winds, far stronger than anything I have seen in 20 years, even though records later showed that the weather had been calm. He wrote about unexplained noises, banging against the lighthouse walls during the dead of night, and he wrote about something more troubling. Ducat is unsettled. MacArthur is crying. Something is not right on this island. MacArthur crying was unthinkable. He was a hardened man, a former soldier, not one given to fear. But the island had begun to take something from all 3 of them: the final signal. On December 15th, the lighthouse went dark. No beam swept across the horizon. No signal warned passing ships of the treacherous rocks. The first ship to notice the blackout was the Arctur, which nearly ran aground as a result. The captain filed a report, but with stormy seas and difficult holiday schedules, relief didn't arrive until December 26th, 11 days later. A vessel named the Hesperus approached the island on a grey, wind-stung morning. The captain, the relief keeper, Joseph Mòr, and a small landing crew stared at the lighthouse. No movement, no smoke from the chimney, not a single sign of human presence. Something was wrong on Eilean Mòr. As the Hesperus anchored near the island, Joseph Mòr felt a pressure in his chest, a sensation he would later describe as a weight I could not explain. He boarded a small rowboat with 2 sailors and pushed toward the narrow stone landing. When they reached the island, Mòr immediately saw the first clue. The supply box outside the entrance was open, its contents scattered across the ground as if someone had rummaged through it or left it open in a hurry. Mòr climbed the steep stone steps leading to the lighthouse door. He knocked, waited. Nothing. He pushed the heavy door open and stepped inside. Searching the lighthouse inside, the air was stale, cold, untouched by human presence for days. The kitchen table held a half-eaten meal. A chair lay overturned beside it. A clock on the wall had stopped ticking. All 3 men's oilskin coats were missing, except for one. One coat remained hanging on its hook. That meant at least one of the keepers had left the lighthouse without proper protections, something no trained keeper would ever do on such a deadly island. Mòr climbed to the top of the lighthouse. Everything was intact. The lamp was clean and operational. Oil was plentiful. There was no mechanical failure. Something or someone had simply prevented the men from keeping the light lit. Mòr returned to the landing area to report to the captain. The place is deserted. The captain ordered a full-scale search of the island. They combed the cliffs, the grassy slopes, the stone shelters, the small chapel ruins every inch of land. No bodies, no footprints, no signs of a struggle, nothing. It was as if the island had swallowed the men whole, and yet the logbook entries left behind suggested something far more complex, and far more disturbing. When investigators examined the lighthouse log, what they found made the mystery even more unsettling. The entries: December 12th, severe winds. Ducat, very quiet. MacArthur crying. MacArthur crying still made no sense. The man had survived war, street fights, storms that had sunk ships. December 13th. Winds continue. Everything is beyond normal. We are praying. But recorded weather reports contradict this. There were no storms. The skies were calm. December 14th. Winds stopped. Sea calm. God is above all. This was the last entry. Investigators were baffled. Why were the keepers describing a storm that weather stations said never existed? What had they seen or heard? Beyond weather locos had their theories. Some believed the men saw something supernatural. Others believed the Flannan Isles were cursed, a place where ancient spirits roamed. Some argued the men suffered a shared psychological break. But none of these explanations answered the physical clues. When investigators reached a narrow gorge called the West Landing, they found twisted iron railings. A massive stone weighing more than a ton moved from its original position. Ropes ripped from their secured boxers, patches of grass flattened unnaturally. Some said this indicated a rogue wave, but the damage seemed specific, to selective-like. Something had struck parts of the island, but left others untouched. The missing time. Another mystery. The light had gone out on December 15th, but the men had disappeared. Earlier, sometime after the final log entry on the 14th. If the sea was calm on the 14th, what catastrophe struck them? And why had MacArthur, who almost certainly died that day, left without his coat? He had no reason to rush out of the lighthouse unless something was happening that required immediate action. Something unexpected, something urgent, something terrifying. In the weeks that followed, theories flooded the newspapers. Theory 1. A giant wave. The official explanation claimed a single freak wave swept all three men off the cliffs. But this theory collapses under scrutiny. Why would all three men be outside at once? Why did MacArthur leave without his coat? Why did the logbook mention non-existent storms? Why was the island in calm weather during their disappearance? Theory 2. Murder. Some suggested MacArthur, known for his temper, killed the other two and took his own life. But again, no blood, no bodas, no disturbed earth, no discarded clothing, no weapon. There was no evidence of violence. Theory 3. A ghost ship. Sailors whispered about a phantom vessel seen near the Flannan Isles in late December, its lights flickering, its silhouette vanishing into fog. But there is no proof such a ship existed. Theory 4. Something else. The most chilling accounts came from a fisherman who claimed he saw bright lights circling the island days before the lighthouse went dark. He described them as orbs, moving against the wind, as if watching. His testimony was dismissed at the time as superstition, but it appeared again decades later when his grandson repeated the same story. Word for word. Was it real, or a tale shaped by fear? The silence of the lighthouse. One thing is certain. Whatever happened on Eilean Mòr stunned three experienced keepers into breaking their routines, abandoning safety protocols, and walking into a situation none of them returned from, and nature alone does not inspire that kind of terror. To reconstruct the men's final hours, investigators combined the logbook entries, physical evidence, and time. The most likely sequence was this evening. On December 14th, the island was calm. The logbook confirmed it. The men likely finished their duties, prepared dinner, and began settling for the night. Then, something happened at the West Landing. Something sudden. Something they could not ignore. Marshall and Ducat grabbed their coats. MacArthur, in his haste, did not. They rushed outside. Investigators believe they reached the landing and found something alarming. Perhaps damaged equipment, perhaps something stranger. Whatever it was, they worked near the cliff edge. A noise or movement startled, then perhaps a second event. A wave, a shifting stone, or something we cannot explain. Marshall may have been knocked down. Ducat attempted to pull him up. MacArthur rushed toward them. If a wave struck at that moment, it would have taken all three men. But this theory still left questions. Why were the log entries describing storms that didn't exist? Why did multiple people report strange lights? Why was one coat left behind? An unresolved ending. After 124 years, investigators still cannot conclusively explain the men esse final minutes. All that remains is an island battered by wind, a lighthouse that stands like a tombstone, and a story that refuses to fade. Because some disappearances feel intentional, engineered. Not by man not be nature, but by something old that does not like to be disturbed. And on Eilean Mòr, in the winter of 1900, three men disturbed something. The disappearance of the three lighthouse keepers of Eilean Mòr stands as one of the most chilling and well-documented maritime mysteries in existence. These men were experienced, disciplined, and trained to survive the harshest environments nature could offer. Yet, in a single night, they vanished so completely that not even a shred of evidence, no clothing, no tools was ever recovered. The ocean keeps its secrets, but islands, like Eilean Mòr, they guard them. Tell us in the comments a topic you're curious about and want to know more about.